Welcome to EVTN News, everyone. Today I have quite a few news stories to talk about, so we'll see what all I can get through. The first story, EVTN News, Eternal Vegano Television Network. Vegano he claims that Cardinal Ratzinger's secretary was active LMNOP. And this is the German-born retired Curia Bishop Joseph Clemens. Between 1984 and 2003, Clemens was Ratzinger's personal secretary, who then appointed him secretary of the Pontifical Council for the laity and consecrated him a bishop in 2004. Before the consecration, Vigano, then the delegate for pontifical representations, asked Berlin Nuncio Giovanni Lajolo routinely for information about Clemens. Lajolo replied that there were strong suspicions that Clemens was an active LMNOP, and it was advised against making him a bishop. Vigano says Ratzinger wanted the promotion despite knowing about this. When Ratzinger exchanged Clemens with Ganswein in 2003, there was quite a fight between the two, Vigano recalls. The context of LifeSite News accusation is Clemens' visitation at the very wealthy Augustinian Abbey Klosterneuburg near Vienna from 2020 to 2022, where he was sent as a papal delegate to investigate allegations of LMNOP abuse. So they said a bishop who was supposedly LMNOP was sent to investigate LMNOP abuse, and Ratzinger wanted him as his personal secretary. So who really knows? Who really knows? Now, Clemens has denied the allegations. Okay, big story. Don Alcuin Reed was illegally ordained. If you've seen Mass of the Ages, he appears in it several times, and he is a traditionalist. Is a traditionalist order. I believe they're Benedictines, and I'm not sure if it's England or France, but it is Monastery Saint Benoit, and so I think this is the Benedictine monastery. Now, one senior prelate offered to confer ordinations if Bishop Ray, who is the bishop, the geographical diocesan bishop, one senior prelate offered to confer ordinations if Bishop Ray remained unable to do so, and this is from the order, their statement. They said, "We were taken aback by this offer. No request for ordinations was made of anyone." Who is this senior prelate? We don't really know, but it seems like it could be a cardinal. And there's really only a few cardinals you would suspect. And I'm going to say it's probably not Cardinal Sarah. So the monastery continues. Therefore, in April, the aforementioned senior prelate in unimpeded communion with the Holy See ordained one of our men to the subdiaconate and to the diaconate on successive days, and ordained our prior to the priesthood according to the usus antiquior of the Roman Rite, in a discreet location not in France. No stipend was requested or offer given or accepted in respect of them. The ordinations were preceded by the necessary oaths and were duly certified and witnessed. We will not reveal the name of this ordaining prelate. So these secret ordinations, illegal, well, I'm going to put quotes on that, illegal ordinations, I expect there to be quite a bit more of that in the future, especially considering the ridiculous group of cardinals that are coming in. And Francis, he's trying to appoint Francis bishops. Some of them slip through the cracks because no one wants to be a bishop. But there's a lot of bad guys that are being named cardinal. So read more about this. This is actually a really big story that really hasn't been discussed a whole lot in the media. And I don't know if they're trying to keep it underground or what, but who knows. All right, moving to one of the candidates for Pope, Cardinal Gregory. he was involved in a nursing home scandal. So Gozo is in Malta, and Gozo's first ever public residential home for elderly will have to wait longer as one of the bidders in a multi-million public tender has asked for the revocation of the award due to claimed illegalities by the Department of Contracts. The home was supposed to open in 2013 but has been left abandoned for the past 9 years. The project goes back to 2013 when, following a secret deal between Gozo Minister Anton Rafalo and Gozo Bishop, now Cardinal Mario Grech, it was decided that an abandoned former youth center in Gosnelem near Dar Sand Giseb would be leased to the government for conversion into a 140-bed residential home for the elderly. So Cardinal Grech, shady deals. Where have we seen that before? Oh yeah, that's right, the Vatican. He might fit in really well then. Nancy Pelosi received communion at the 9 a.m. Mass, Holy Trinity in Georgetown, Washington, D.C. It is, of course, a Jesuit church. I think it's actually Biden's church where he goes whenever he's in Washington. So are you surprised that the Jesuit religion would give communion to Pelosi, but the Catholics... Anyway. When the Washington Examiner reached out to the Archdiocese of Washington to seek comment, Archbishop Gregory's communications office inadvertently sent an emailed response. They said, and just, they probably meant to forward it internally, but it wasn't kept internal. It was inadvertently emailed to the Washington Examiner, and so they posted it. They said, just sharing for you to know what comes in. Email since Saturday when I last checked the comments inbox has just been a couple of random people wanting to tell the Cardinal to bring down the hammer on Pelosi. Aside from Jack Jenkins at Religion News Service, this is the only new media inquiry. It will be ignored too. Let's see. A few hours later, they emailed back and said, I apologize for the mistaken email. We have not been responding to inquiries on this topic because Cardinal Gregory's position has not changed from what he said in the past. Here is a quote you may use in your story attributed to a spokesperson for the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Washington. Okay, blah, 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 blah. No new comment. So I thought that was pretty funny. They were intentionally ignoring any yeah, I mean, obviously, because Wilton Gregory, is he pro-life? I think that's a fair question to ask. Should public figures in a public state of mortal sin be denied communion? Well, the answer is yes, but Cardinal Gregory wasn't put in the position of the Archbishop of Washington to do that stuff. I think he was put in there to, cover for the McCarrick scandal. And as a reward, he was named Cardinal. All right, so the Russian Orthodox are perplexed after Francis met with Pyotr Verzilov, who in the past participated in public fornication and desecrations of churches. Metropolitan Hilarion, the head of the Synodal Department for External Church Relations, this is Orthodox, told a Russian TV channel that he believes that Francis is not aware of who Verzilov is. That is why those who prepare Francis's meeting should be more careful and watch with whom Francis appears in a joint photo, Hilarion explained. So even the Orthodox are concerned with Francis's actions. Well, there you go. There's synodality for you. The new bishop of St. Augustine, Florida. Pope Francis on Tuesday appointed Arkansas priest Father Eric Paul Meyer as the next bishop of the Diocese of St. Augustine, Florida. This comes about one business day after the previous bishop unleashed a crackdown on the Latin Mass. Wow, that's pretty impressive. So he knew he was going out. And so did he voluntarily crack down on the Latin Mass on his way out as a parting gift to the diocese? Or did the Vatican encourage him to do that on his way out? Well, I don't really know. But it's pretty rotten, because he would have known at that point there was a new incoming bishop to be announced. This priest is from Arkansas. I think he's from the Diocese of Little Rock, and the bishop there is, I think he's a rainbow bishop, and he cracked down on the Latin Mass there. So hopefully this priest is not like the previous bishop, the bishop of his previous diocese. From Father Z's comm box regarding this situation, the bad news for the diocese is the SSPX just bought and is renovating the large and abandoned Holy Rosary Church, so they just inadvertently created an increase in their collection plate. There's also the beautiful Ordinariate liturgy at St. James, who is a wonderful priest. Okay, so the people of St. Augustine, Florida, will use the Catholic name for it. Those people are going to have some options, and at this point, especially considering the new Cardinals, there should be no reason to be suspicious of the SSPX. Oh, going to another potential papal candidate, Cardinal Matteo Zuppi has been elected new president of the Italian Bishops' Conference. It was thought he fell out of favor with Francis after his refusal to strongly persecute the Latin Mass attendees in his diocese. However, that didn't stop him from being elected president of the Italian Bishops' Conference. So, full speed ahead for him. He's a rising star, and any bishop who refuses to persecute Latin Mass Catholics, well, I mean, that's not a bad thing. Of course, I think Zuppi has a lot of crazy stuff. I don't know. Was he the guy who supported Father James Martin's book Building a Bridge? I don't know. But, I mean, small steps, You got to tear it down before you build it back up, right? Hopefully it can be built back up sooner rather than later, but considering the new Cardinals, I don't know. Going to another Cardinal, Cardinal Burke. He called for the removal of German bishops. Yeah, he did. He said the Holy Father must challenge these bishops and ask them to renounce the heresies and even the positions that run counter to church discipline, Burke said in an interview published May 11th by Catholic Action for Faith and Family. This was posted on the SSPX website. He said, and if they do not renounce their errors and correct themselves, then he would have to remove them from office. This is the situation at which we have arrived. So, well, I mean, I guess Pope Francis didn't ask them to change their heresies, didn't ask them to change their ideas, and so he's not going to remove them from office. In fact, we have our own German cardinal. Well, he's not German, but he has a similar beliefs as the Germans, and that's McElroy. It's basically the same thing as a German bishop or a German cardinal, right in the United States. Who would have thought? If you're watching this channel, you would have thought. Bus nuns. Bus nuns spoke at the World Economic Forum. The participation of religious communities at the World Economic Forum in Davos was a first. I don't know, would you call them religious communities? Or would you call them a social justice organization? I think I'd go with the second one. As part of the so-called Sisters Project, in which religious women participated, religious sisters spent several days in discussions with economists and politicians. They asked, I wonder if they encouraged them to convert to the Catholic faith. Okay, so a few back-to-back stories here. The Buddhist delegation from Mongolia. Now, this was from last week. They said they're engaged in an intense schedule of meetings and appointments in the Vatican spanning Friday and Saturday as it marks 30 years from the establishment of diplomatic relations between the Holy See and Mongolia, as well as 30 years of the Catholic Church's presence in the country. On Friday morning, the delegation was received by the Pontifical Council for Interreligious Dialogue. While in the afternoon, members visited the Vatican museums. The highlight on Saturday is undoubtedly the scheduled audience with Pope Francis. So he welcomed them on May 28th. He claimed that Christ rejected every form of violence, and he added that all of us should be disciples of the masters of nonviolence. Unbelievable. Are we? So you can be a disciple of Buddha. Is that okay? Well, this was posted on the Vatican News website. So it was advertised by the Vatican's propaganda wing. But now, masters of nonviolence. Like I've said many times, I think Francis is trying to be like some religious, deep religious figure, like the Dalai Lama, where he's trying to say things that try to have deep meaning, and just some vague, uh, you know, just I guess non-denominational religious significant. They're like spiritual leader, not religious leader, because religion is for Catholics, right? Okay. Mission and Ministry Director at Marist High School in Chicago, Kimberly Madonaya, is in a marriage with a woman. Madonaya has been in the role for a year now after she left her previous job as a youth ministry director for St. John Fisher and Most Holy Redeemer, two Catholic parishes in Chicago. She worked there for 17 years. And under Supich, what do you expect? She will absolutely keep that job. No question about it. Speaking of the Vatican News, they featured a story of a married couple's conversion to eco-paganism. It says, an Ecuadorian couple experiences the sacrament and blessing of matrimony and their lives truly change. These people wrote, in any discussion about a proposed venture, a number of questions need to be asked in order to discern whether or not it will contribute to genuine, integral development. What does that even mean? In any proposed venture, wouldn't you consider how it would impact the faith, how it would impact, like, wouldn't the faith be your first priority if it will contribute to the good of the kingdom of God? I don't know. They said we slowly began to understand if you teach a child to respect a small plant, to admire a rabbit, or to be touched by his little brother, the child will harbor peace and respect for God's creation later on. Okay, sounds like atheism or paganism to me. If you teach them to respect a plant and admire a rabbit, what's that going to do for their faith? Nothing. It's going to make them like nature, which isn't a bad thing. But do you want your child to become a worshiper of the earth, or do you want them to be a worshiper of God? Tough question, right? Archbishop Michael Jackals of the Archdiocese of Dubuque, Iowa, released, I guess, sort of a counter to Archbishop Cordileone's banning of Pelosi. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but he talked about how no one should be denied communion. He said, better, I think, to put the hands in such Catholics in hopes that one day soon they would put their hands to work on behalf of life in defense of all life. To be consistent, to repair the scandal of Catholics being indifferent or opposed to all these other life issues, they would have to be denied communion as well. So we shouldn't deny anyone communion, even if they're a public sinner, because he said, oh, you have to put limits on gun ownership and capital punishment and abortion are life issues. And, you know, these rotten modernist bishops, they try to equate the slaughter of an innocent unborn child to the just capital punishment of someone who has probably murdered multiple people. in a horrific way. And so they're equating capital punishment with abortion is just false, and they're rotten modernists. I think they have full consciousness of what they're doing. If they don't, that's embarrassing. That's really embarrassing. So yeah, the sick people need a doctor, not the healthy. That's what they keep saying. And a lot of people point to St. Paul. Does Archbishop Jackals read the Bible? Has he ever read the Bible? Has he read the part where St. Paul says you eat and drink condemnation if you receive the Eucharist in a state of mortal sin? Have they ever seen that? Has he ever seen that, or is he being deliberately deceptive? Now, let me see. There was a video of Archbishop Jackals speaking. At about 10 minutes, he says, you can eat a burger on Ash Wednesday and Good Friday, and we don't need to worry about penance during Lent. At the 17-minute mark, he talks about the moral obligation of jabs. So there you go. There's your religion. Don't worry about that Catholic stuff. Let's do this anti-Catholic stuff because it's a new church of a new Advent. And we can do all this LMNOP stuff. Going to Archbishop Cordileone, guess what? He made a good statement. He banned Pelosi from communion, but just this Saturday, he ordained James Dewan as a permanent deacon. James wrote in June 2015, he said, I personally do not understand why some people object so vehemently to LMNOP marriage, aka marriage. It does not affect them one iota. God is love, and that love is expressed in so many different ways. He added a picture of the Virgin Mary bedecked with colorful rosary beads given away every year by members of a parish at a parade of LMNOPs. So, strong LMNOP supporter ordained to the permanent diaconate. Cordileone, gotta take care of stuff on your own diocese. I mean, you make one good statement, but let's try to stick with the Catholic faith here. Even the good guys have some problems. Moving on to Germany. Oh boy, here's a good one. Muhterem Aras, a Turkey-born female Muslim politician of the German Green War Party and Speaker of the Baden-Württemberg Parliament, grabbed communion on Ascension Thursday, May 26th. The sacrilege was committed at a Eucharist presided by Stuttgart Bishop Gebhard First, age 73. This was the opening event of Stuttgart's festival-like gathering organized by so-called Catholic laity. During communion, people took communion with one or two hands and dipped it like a cracker into a chalice. So all kinds of sacrilege and liturgical abuse, and any surprise that's happening in Germany. Well, guess what? The United States, depending on who your bishop or your cardinal is, are we just as bad? Is there some dioceses in the United States that are just as bad as Germany? I believe it. Alright, there was a post on Gloria TV. It said, Francis allegedly announced at a May 9th meeting with heads of Roman Curia that he will replace a number of prefects when the new Vatican Constitution takes effect on June 5th. This concerns the prefects whose 5-year term has expired and who have exceeded the age limit of 75. Six of them are over the age of 75. And it's Ladaria, Doctrine of Faith, Ulat from the bishops, Aviz, Religious Orders, Sandria, Eastern Church, Versaldi, Education, and Ravasi for Culture. Two of these guys are 79, which is 4 full years over the required retirement age. 2 of them are 78, 3 full years, and Ulat is 77, which is 2 full years over the retirement age. Francis' network is shrinking fast. That's why I suspect he left these guys in here, because he doesn't know if he can get a Francis bishop in here to do the same things that these guys are doing, following orders. especially considering Cardinal Becciu, how now he's kind of throwing Francis under the bus in this Vatican financial trial. And you don't want Francis doesn't want any of those kinds of guys. He wants the yes men. Ouellette has proven to be a yes man. The rest of these guys, maybe, probably. That's why they're still there. Cardinal Sarah, nah, too Catholic. Get him out of here. All right, moving on to the new Cardinals. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this. I really hope that someone covers these, like Taylor Marshall, LifeSite News. I hope they do research into the background of these guys. They're Francis Cardinals. So what do you expect? 21 new Cardinals. Unbelievable. I think at least, let me see. They're in double-digit number. So I think at least like 14 or 15 of them are going to be eligible for voting. Because what he does is kind of throws a bone to some of these people who are over the age of 80 and says, yeah, I'll make you a cardinal. And if that's the case, well, I hope that when we get a good pope, he makes a whole bunch of guys above 80 cardinals so that they can go around, and if a new pope comes in and tries to crack down on the Latin Mass, these guys will go around and be ordained bishops, say a bunch of Latin Masses, stick it to another modernist pope. But Archbishop Roach, his background. He hates the traditional Mass. His hatred was made very clear. And unfortunately, I call this very easy call to make. Him and Lazaro Yu Hyung Sik from South Korea, the prefect for the Congregation of Clergy, was also made a cardinal. So basically the ones that have high positions in the Vatican who weren't already cardinals have been made cardinals. Okay, that's kind of a given. So I'm not going to pat myself on the back for that one. I actually didn't know a lot of these guys. So if no one posts video like LifeSite or Taylor Marshall, then I will do a little bit more of an investigation. But there is Fernando Vergez Alzaga. He is from Spain, and he is from the Legionaries of Christ, the order founded by Maciel Maciel. He spent a good bit of time in the order while Maciel was still the superior of it. Maciel was a predator. That's a nice way to put it. The fact that the order even exists is rotten. But we have a McCarrick Cardinal, another McCarrick Cardinal in McElroy. So what do you know? Is McCarrick running the show in the Vatican? Is he making the calls of, I really want McElroy to become a cardinal? Or does Francis, is he just doing McCarrick a favor? Because McCarrick helped get him elected. Who really knows? There are also a bunch of cardinals from the peripheries. And, peripheries. There's a new cardinal from Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. Mongolia itself does not have a large population, but I think there is a population of a few thousand Catholics in the entire country. So, pretty interesting there. Also, Brazil Cardinal, Bishop Leonardo Steiner. He's now a cardinal. In 2014, Steiner expressed a clear interest in legal protection for people who are LMNOP. He said there needs to be a dialogue on the rights of shared life between people of the same sex who decide to live together. They need legal support from society. Really. That echoes the comments made by Pope Francis in an interview. So let's try to justify. Francis is, he's just being given bad advice, right? The people around him give him bad advice. He doesn't have much time to research the background of these people. Really? Really? Did he have time to research the Vatican-Chinese deal? Did he have time to research the background of McCarrick? Did he have time to research church doctrine where Jesus said The divorced and remarried are in adultery. I don't know. Did he have time to research the background of Pachamama? Did he have time to see with his own eyes that it's a pagan idol? That's it for these Cardinals. Like I said, maybe at the end of this week, if I don't see anything, maybe I'll do a video. Stay tuned if you don't hear anything from like Taylor Marshall or LifeSite. I don't really want to. I mean, this is not fun researching these guys to see what's up. But if it needs to be done, it will. Someone's got to do it. If that's the case, let it be me. You know, why not? Anyway, this has been EVTN News. Stay tuned. I have some more stuff coming at some point. So thank you so much for watching. We are the laity, and we will not be silent.